Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the WM32 Football Podcast. Yes, you heard right. We are back, and my word, have we got a fantastic show lined up for you, boys and girls, tonight. Like I say, after a long period away, we are back, and we are resuming tonight with a very special episode of our From the Stands series, where we get to interview fans of other teams up and down the country, so ranging from Premier League all the way down. And right on cue, my guest has just left me. But anyway, I'm hoping he will come back in 1 second. But like I say, it is great to be back. Here he is. He is back. Don't know where he went just for a minute there, but you can't beat technology, I suppose. And like I say, from the Stand series, and we're going to be talking all things Burnley tonight with the one and only Dom Potts. Dom, how are you, my friend?
I'm good, thanks. Yeah, not too bad.
Yeah, you looking forward to this one?
I am. Yeah, for only second time I've ever done a live stream, so it'll be and it's already started well, as you've just seen. I've already been kicked out once. So.
Yeah, no, I have to say, I'm usually on the other end, so I'm usually in your seat, so to speak, tonight. But no, I'm in the host mode. And Dom, I guess the first question on your lips, as we said, we know you're a Burnley fan. You've got a nice top on there as well. But how long have you been supporting the mighty Clarets?
I've been supporting them since 2005. My first ever game at Turf. I was more initially into golf when I was younger. I weren't really into football, and then my cousins lent me their season ticket, and that's how it started. Yeah, because in fact I was quite close to being a Man United fan at the very start. I know, but luckily they let me their season ticket, and the rest is history, as they say.
Yeah, and you've not looked back. And I have to say, you probably had some ups and downs, I guess, as most football fans in your time supporting Burnley. But you mentioned there, Dom, about the first game and using like your cousin's season ticket. Just give us a little bit more insight into that kind of first game that you went to. Like, who was the opposition? Do you remember much at all, like from that particular day?
Yeah, I remember it really well. To be honest, we drew 3-3, so it was a good first game in terms of goals. But we were 2-0 up. So I've seen a few of them over the years where we go in front. It's always a dangerous scoreline at Burnley's 2-0. And yeah, 2-0 up. Wade Elliott scored both goals. He obviously ended up first time we got promoted, scoring the goal that got us up. So he was like my favourite player to start with because of my first game. He got us off from running, and then, like I say, it ended up 3-3 in the end. Can't remember I think they might have gone 3-2 up actually, and then we levelled it. But I'm not 100% on that. But yeah, it was a good first game to go to, I suppose.
Yeah, who were the opposition? Do you remember?
It was Cardiff. Yeah, it was against
Cardiff.
Yeah, that was my first ever game. I'm pretty sure it was 2005.
Nice.
And yeah, it was a good. Loved it really, and then ended up getting they used to do half season tickets. So I don't know if they do them anymore. And then I got one of them, and then next season, since then, I've got season ticket every year up until now.
Nice. Yeah, Cardiff, not the most glamorous, I would suggest, of games, but look, you ended up going to one, and that's kind of all that matters, because that set you on your way, so to speak, to being a Burnley fan. And Dom, when it comes to a match day, who do you tend to go with? Is it like do you go with your dad? Is it a family thing, or do you meet up with some mates and stuff like that?
Yeah, it's changed over the years. So I used to go on with my dad, and then quite a few years ago now, I used to go on with him, and then he stopped. He sort of fell out of love with football a bit, did my dad? Don't know why. He's not as keen now as he used to be on it. And then I went with a mate from school for a few years, and then I ended up just going on my own in the fish week. But so in with the away, but next to the away fans I sit now. But I've got to know everybody around me, so it's pretty good, really. It's all the same people for the last 3 years now, I think. So yeah, it's always good. I meet up with a mate before, but we don't even sit in the same stand actually.
Okay.
But I always meet him usually, or I meet my cousin before as well. But we're all dotted about really in different places. It's a bit strangely, but we do meet up before and after the game. Yeah.
Yeah, no, sounds wicked. And is that sort of part of your match day ritual? You got any like superstitions? Like, do you have to wear the same top? I know some people, they go to the lengths of like lucky pants, lucky socks. Have you got any little ones that you can share with us?
I do. I have been bought some lucky socks, so they have been worn, but I wouldn't say I'm like under. I have to wear them. You know what I mean? I haven't really got any proper superstitions. Yeah, but the usual day, I go to the pub at like 12 usually for a 3 o'clock, and then depending on whether we win, I go out after. So this season's my liver's took an hammering because we're doing really well. But in previous years, I very rarely went out after the game because we were losing every week. So I don't know. It's got its positive. It's got its drawbacks as well, I suppose. But yeah, I've been out quite a lot this year after the game because we've been fortunate. Seen a lot of wins.
Yeah, no, definitely. And sort of watching it from afar, I have to say Burnley have been absolutely brilliant. Seen a couple of little videos as well online and the way I think Vincent Company's got you guys playing. I know from, again, seeing bits online that there was a lot of, talk of him perhaps not even lasting until Christmas and things like that. But you guys have absolutely stormed the championship this year. And like I say, the way he's got you guys playing is crazy, really, in contrast to sort of what you've had before, especially under Sean Dyche in particular, and stuff like that as well. So no, like I say, from watching from afar, I have to say, been really, really impressed with Burnley this season. So hopefully you can get the job done and get over the line of promotion. I can't see why not, given how clear you boys are of second place and even the playoffs at the minute.
I'm a really pessimistic fan, so still until it's done, I'm not happy. But yeah, I think it's been unbelievable. The change has been. I don't think he'll get the credit he deserves because obviously we have spent more money than any other team in the league. But we did sell to get that, and I just think the way he's changed the style of plays, like you said, compared to where we were, the way we played under Dyche, it's unbelievable, really, the contrast. But that's not to say I didn't enjoy Dyche for different reasons, because obviously he brought a lot of success, and like Company always says, he still kept some of them things that Dyche brought to the club. It's not just about passing the ball and everything. They do have to dig in sometimes, and I think that has helped from previous seasons.
Yeah, no, definitely. Just want to have a quick shout out to Holly Agambar. I have been on her show a few times, and I'm glad she's watching tonight. Thank you so much, Holly. And guys, those of you that are watching, if you have a question that you want to ask Dom, feel free to drop them in the comments, and hopefully we'll be able to go through them at the end as well. But Dom, just going back to it, next question is: I'm sure you've had some games that you've enjoyed, some that you perhaps haven't. And you've had the highs of Europe, in the Europa League, in more the qualifying rounds, but it's still Europe at the end of the day. But you've also had some tankings, I'd like to say, along the way. But what would you say is like the best game that you've been to as a Burnley fan?
Home or away, or shall I do one of each?
You can do one of each, absolutely.
Yeah. So the best home game has got to be Man United. In the first time we went up, we played them first home game, and Robbie Blake scored. I think everyone remembers that.
Yeah.
One goal. And the atmosphere was just unbelievable that night. We've had a few other good ones, like on promotions and stuff. Been lucky, really, that we've seen 3 so far. Hopefully going to be 4 soon. And then away game would have to be Blackburn. I think when we beat them for the first time in 30 odd years, I think it were. And then we haven't been beat since, so it's been it's been a good few years. Because I remember when I was at secondary school, they used to have the upper hand on us. So it's tables have turned a bit, but it's got to be that one. Yeah, coming from behind to beat them first time in so long.
Was that the Arfield? Was that the Arfield?
No, that was the season after it with the Ings and Shackle scored.
Right. Okay.
In ours, I think Rhodes scored for them first because he used to bang them in for them, didn't he, every week?
Yeah.
And then we come back, so we made it even better, really, that they went in front and we come back and beat them.
Yeah, no, definitely. And I remember a couple of Burnley-Blackburn games. Obviously, I was at university at Burnley at the time, and I didn't really understand the rivalry at the time. It kind of got mentioned, but as a fan of a different team, you're sort of going like, yeah. But then, like, obviously, when I was up there, that rivalry between yourselves and Rovers is a proper tasty one, I have to say. And I think I remember a few of mates from uni that ended up going. I think it was that Scott Arfield game. And just kind of seeing the scenes in the away end, it was just absolutely bouncing. I think when he scored, and then I think the other time when you played them at home, I think it was Spurs Arsenal that day as well, and loads of people were asking me if I was going to go, and I said, well, I'd love to, but for me, there was only one derby on that day, and it was the North London derby. It was the same day where Harry Kane scored and he had the mask. Yeah, it was a bit of a difficult one. I think, for me to kind of give that up. Like I say, Spurs, Arsenal, and over Burnley, Blackburn, I'm afraid, for you, Dom, on that one.
No, that's fair enough.
But no, sounds like, obviously, I remember that Robbie Blake goal. I think everybody, remembers it, especially when you watch like Premier League years on Sky and things like that. It always comes around as well. But Dom, from the best to the worst, the ones that have been a bit painful for you over the years.
Yeah, this one's more difficult, I think. I've had a few bad ones, but again, Blackburn away. David Dunn scored in like the 96th minute 1 year back, that far offside. Still haven't got over it yet. It's that years ago, but yeah, no, that was a sucker punch, because we hadn't beat them then either. It was like that 33 years or something it was. And thought we'd finally done it, and then he scores. In terms of hammerings, I remember Man City at home, first time we were in the Premier League, they were 5-0 up at half time, and it was the worst weather you've ever seen in your life. If it weren't such a big score out, they would have abandoned it. But it got to a point, it'd have been embarrassing if they had abandoned it, because I think it finished 6-1, so we drew the second half. But yeah, that was a bad one. I think Company scored actually that day for City. But yeah, that's got to be the worst home game, I'd say. In terms of away, I'm trying to. We once got beat 4-0 at Leicester. That was a bad one. I think Sven was manager of them then, and we had Eddie Howe.
Blimey.
Yeah, I know. So that was probably my worst away day. I've had a few 4-0s, but that was probably the worst one.
I was going to say, you've had a few, sorry to rub it in, but you've had a few tankings off City at the Etihad as well in recent years. So didn't know if they were going to get it.
I can't believe I haven't said them, actually, because the amount of times I've been there, it's been 5-0. It runs, yeah. And we've got them again in the cup at the weekend. Yeah. That'll be fun. Yeah.
Are you going?
I am. Yeah, I can't resist it. I weren't going to go, but I just can't resist going. So yeah, hopefully we can keep it below 5 this time.
Fingers crossed. Who knows? Vinny might have a few secrets up his sleeves, obviously, playing under Pep and things like that. Who knows? He might have a couple of things up his sleeves, and you might get a nice little cup upset in there as well. Dom, going from games to players, and I know someone you mentioned before, Wade Elliott, kind of caught your eye from your first game. Would you say he's your favourite player of all time in a Burnley shirt, or is somebody else sort of grabbed on and pulled on your heartstrings?
Tough one, that. There's been a few over the years that we've lost, and Trippier has got to be up there. He was brilliant. That you just could tell he was going to go on have a career in the Premier League. He was always too good for the Championship, and so he's definitely up there. Controversial because not many people like him, but Joey Barton was actually really good for us. He was a. I don't think we'd have gone up that season. We had him and Andre Gray as well. I know his touch lets him down a bit, Gray, when he was with us. But that season, they were both unbelievable. They were on fire. But an overall favourite is... It's a tough one, that. I know now I really like Josh Cullen. He's my favourite at the current team. But I would say probably Trippier. Go with Trippier overall. Yeah.
The Barry Beckham. Yeah. Dom, you've kind of just killed me a little bit with the next question. Obviously, you just mentioned there Josh Cullen, your current favourite player. Give us a little bit of an insight into what he's like as a player, because majority of people probably watching may not have heard of him or know sort of what he's about. So just tell us why, for you, he's your favourite player in this current Burnley side.
Yeah, I just think he keeps things simple, and he keeps everything ticking. You sort of feel you could take players out and replace them with him. I don't think we could, and it wouldn't work. Don't get me wrong, we've bought some unbelievable players. Look at Zarori and Benson is injured at the minute. You could go through the whole team this season. Like they've all been on. But I don't know. Cullen, I just think he keeps everything like the glue that holds it all together, I suppose. But he's a very simple player. Rarely loses the ball. Only thing he shouldn't do, which we found out at the weekend, is shoot. He can't really shoot. But that doesn't matter. You know, that's not his job. He's it's got to be Cullen. And I think because he does go under the radar a bit because he's not a goal scorer. And you've obviously got Zarori, he's been unbelievable for us. And then even players who he hasn't brought in, like Cork and Barnes, we've even seen different sides to them, which is, especially Barnes. I've been shocked with how good he's been as the season's gone on.
Yeah, no, wicked. And I think always when I've seen Burnley play and you have Ashley Barnes playing, he always, strikes me as that kind of annoying centre forward, like one that you'd go, I don't really want to play against him because he is awkward. He's all arms and legs, isn't he, Ashley Barnes? I think a few times when I've watched like Spurs Burnley and other Burnley games, you're looking at him and you're going, I'd hate to play against him as a centre half because, like I say, he's all arms and legs and he just wants to get in and about you all the time.
Yeah, and I think I admittedly I'd written him off this season. I thought he was finished at the start, and then we played Blackburn just before the international break, and he scored twice. And since then, he's just been unbelievable. Yeah, he's even like with the ball, control. I mean, we play much more to feet now than we used to. You just get lobbed up to him, didn't it? But and he's been brilliant. Can't really, not scored many goals, but he's linked everything together going forward. And like you say, he's a pain, isn't he, to play against.
Yeah, no, definitely. And Dom, like I said earlier, you've had the highs of European football. You've experienced, as you mentioned there, 3 promotions. Looks very much on the cards like it's going to be number 4, barring a monumental collapse. It has to be said. But in your time as a Burnley fan, if you could give us one memorable moment for yourself, what would it be? Like I say, you got a few there that I think I've perhaps jogged your memory on.
Yeah, probably have to go with the first promotion. They always say, don't they, the best way to go, they reckon, is through the playoffs because we beat Reading home and away, and then to go to the final, beat Sheffield United 1-0. Just brilliant. For the first one, I think, is always the best. But winning the league was as well. When you always want to be the champions. So to get that, I've been lucky. Really, we've had some relegations, but overall, I've been had a few good moments. Like I said, Europe obviously was unbelievable. Although at the time I was a bit skint, so I didn't actually get to any of the away games, which I'm gutted about. But it was just the timings. I just couldn't afford it at the time. But I did go to all the home ones, and it was just our luck, weren't it? We get into Europe and we draw Aberdeen in the first. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
Everyone's getting the thinking of going on a good holiday, sun cream out, and we drew Aberdeen. So we did end up playing we got Olympiacos, which was a great draw, but it was quite unlucky because usually you get somebody you've never heard of, and to get through. But we happened to get 3 pretty hard teams for different reasons.
Yeah, no, definitely. And I think that first promotion that you mentioned, I want to say Burnley played Spurs in the League Cup that same season. I got another friend of mine who's a big Burnley fan as well. And he always says to me, like, look, Wes, if you didn't beat us in that cup semi-final, we wouldn't have gone up that year. So maybe, we did you a little favour and, helped you get promoted.
Well, that's another low moment, that game, because it was absolutely gutting, and it was the away goals rule, weren't it? Because we'd scored at your place, and then we beat you 3-0 here, and I didn't even know the rules at the time. I thought we were through, and then all of a sudden it's like away goals after extra time, innit? And it was so late on that you scored, but he's probably right though. Your mate probably did. I think it gave him that extra push that. We are still going to get to Wembley, and they did use it well because it could have gone either way. That they could have crumbled, couldn't they? And it could have ruined the rest of the season. But I think they used it as a determination to get there in the end.
Yeah, no, definitely. And besides Pavlyuchenko and Defoe, breaking your heart on a cold Tuesday night in Burnley. Are there other kind of low moments where you think like this is this is a really bad time almost to be a fan or someone connected with the club in one way or another?
In terms of a season, it would have been when Brian Laws was here. You're probably going to ask me a question on manager as well. But I'd probably say the Brian Laws season, it was a bad time. We'd just gone down. Well, obviously, Owen Coyle left us, didn't he, during our first Premier League season?
Yeah.
So Laws come in, and then the football was just terrible, and it was just I think that Darch came in and sort of aligned everything again. We had Howe in between, but it was just we're a bit of we were changing managers quite a lot at that point, which seems strange because we're obviously known in recent times for not like with Darch. He was here for 10 years, weren't he? But then we were changing managers, everything. You just never saw us. We never really saw us getting back up to the Premier. If anything, I thought at that time we're going to end up going down. I know that first season with Deitch, the first full one, when he got us up, at the start of it, we actually thought we'd be battling relegation because Austin went. Charlie Austin, we sold him, and luckily Ings and Vaux struck up that partnership, didn't they? And we managed to go up, but it were completely against the odds.
Yeah,
so as a period, I'd say that. I've already mentioned the goals wise, the David Dunn one, definitely. The Pavlyuchenko one, you just said. I remember being at United one year, we were 2-0 up with about 5 minutes left, and they drew 2-2. That were gutting. So yeah, there's a few in there, but not too bad.
Yeah, I'm gonna obviously skip the worst manager because you've just mentioned that with Brian Laws. But from the worst manager to the best, and like you say, you've had a few in your time as a Burnley fan. But is there one that again sort of stands out to you as the best one that you've had?
It's got to be Deitch on it. I think in my lifetime, just for the company could take over that, and I think what he's done this season is unbelievable. But it's hard to compare him because Deitch was here for so long, 10 years, and he did things off the pitch as well, training grind. And it helped transform that. I don't know if you've been to Barnfield. Did you ever go to the training ground when you were here, Wes, in Burnley?
I went to. It was Gawthorpe at the time. I think obviously they've renamed it now. But put it this way, it wasn't anything like it is now. It was literally like a small building. You've seen state houses bigger. I think obviously now it's had a complete revamp, hasn't it? And it's looking the parts for sort of where Burnley want to get to. I think as well.
Yeah, and it obviously helps attract players as well in the end. So yeah, you have to say Deitch for what he's steadied the ship, and he got us back in the Premier League when none of us were expecting to. Kept us there for years. And like so, hopefully, company looking good. That hopefully he'll be here for a few years. The only problem with company is I can see him being wanted more by other clubs because the style of play sort of I think put teams off Deitch quite a bit when he was here, but. Obviously, company's playing really nice football as well. So it's just whether how long we can keep hold of him. And I think but at this moment in time, I'd have to go with Deitch.
Yeah, I don't think many fans would argue with that particular choice. And like you say, what he did for that football club, obviously he's got a pub named after him as well in the local area, the Royal Deitch, and stuff like that. And delivering Europe, as we've mentioned as well, for a club like Burnley, that was almost like you guys winning the league, really, wasn't it?
It was unbelievable. Yeah, he probably didn't get enough credit for that as well. I mean, to get Burnley to Europe was, like I say, it's unbelievable achievement. And it had it's not quite what Leicester did, winning the Premier League, but it's a pretty good. It must be up there as one of the best achievements in recent years.
Yeah, no, definitely. And Dom, excluding the mighty Turf Moor, what would you say has probably been your favourite ground that you've been to in your time as a football fan and as a Burnley fan?
It was like Old Trafford, obviously, because the first time I went, this season, I was keen somehow. I don't know. We got beat, didn't we, to start with? But I had a few good times at Old Trafford because we did actually all right in the Prem against them overall. Got a few good results there. I like Villa Park as well. We did like Villa Park when I went there. I think the game sometimes helps your opinion though, because they'd just scored and then they're all singing, and then we went straight to the other end and scored, and it was a really good game. But I do like that stadium. I like the old school ones, I'd say, more than the new builds. I haven't actually been to yours yet. I've been to White Hart Lane, but I haven't been to the new ground. So
yeah, I can tell you it is completely chalk and cheese from the old White Hart Lane to the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. And obviously, what you'll probably like as well, Dom, is the fact that the pints fill up from the bottom as well.
Yes, that's the sort of thing that really that I usually really like. So
listen, it's a big plus for fans, not just in the home end, but obviously for the away end as well. And Dom, then from your most favourite, obviously you mentioned there like Old Trafford and Villa Park. What's your least favourite? I've got a feeling I know what's coming here, but least favourite ground and why?
Yeah, I could say he would, couldn't I? Just to but if we're going off experience, Barnsley's a good away day in terms you get a lot of fans, but it's freezing. It's absolutely freezing. And don't get me wrong, turf's not. It's hardly warm on turf, but Fleetwood was really. I remember it was a friendly match, and I thought my dad was going to die. We had to come off. I thought I can't keep him on here much longer. So we actually left that one early that year with that goal. But Barnsley's always a cold one. Just trying to think. I'd probably have to say them two, but not. We always got a good following at Barnsley, to be fair, but just freezing.
Yeah, because it does seem a little bit open there at Oakwell. Yeah. I've not been, but when I've seen it on like TV and things like that, like I say, it does look a little bit open. I think I did do an away day at Fleetwood a few years ago with MK Dons when they were on the way to getting promoted. They had like Dele Alli, Lewis Baker, Will Grigg in their team there, and that wasn't a most pleasant experience, I have to say. Good game, obviously Dons won, and that sort of set them on their way to being promoted into the Championship. So, like you say, sometimes the game itself does influence your thinking and your opinion of the ground as well. But yeah, looking at Fleetwood, you look at the sort of stand sort of opposite the gantry and you go, oh, it's not too bad, it looks quite nice. But then the other bits around it are a bit much, I think.
Yeah, just purely because of how cold it were for me, that one. Honestly, it was freezing. Like I said, my dad, I thought, we're going to have to go here to save him. It was just terrible, yeah.
Yeah, no, fair play. And Dom, last one from me. What are your... obviously, I think I know the answer to this, but obviously I'm going to say it's promotion. So hopes not only for the rest of this season, but then moving into next season where, there's every expectation that Burnley will be back in the Premier League at the first time of asking.
I'd say to consolidate. Hopefully, I think this team is better than the one we had in the Prem. But it's just, you never know. Like, it's a different ball game in the Premier League. Like, you never know how it's going to go. You never know how they're going to adapt to it. We haven't got as many of them players now we're experienced with it. But I'd like us to. I mean, first season you just want to stay up, but I think this team's good enough to be out of that relegation fight. I hope. I'm not saying we'll be pushing for top 4 or anything, but I think it will be. I'd like to get mid. I think they're capable of mid-table if we bring a few players in, and it's definitely exciting with that group of players. Definitely, yeah. And they deserve a crack. I hope we don't change it too much. I think they deserve a go at it.
Yeah, no, definitely. Don, we got a few questions that have been sent in. This one here from Park Lane Podcast. So, credit to Luke and the guys over there. They're asking how you feeling about playing the progressive attacking football, obviously under company. We'll start with that one first, and then we'll go into part 2 of the question.
Enjoying it. Completely different. It was scary at first because we've been used to it, just being hoofed up for season on end. But no, it's definitely easier on the eye. And sometimes I still get frightened with Muric, the goalkeeper, passing it out from the back because, like I said, for years we just used to pop, lumping it upfield. And sometimes now he gets it, and I think, what is he? There was one time we were doing kick-ups like at the halfway line. I think, what are you doing? Just get rid of it. But so he just frightened me because I'm sat literally right behind him, right behind the goal as well. So can be terrifying at times. But no, it's really good to watch, and it's a lot nicer in the Premier League. We're getting to a point where you go into every game thinking we're going to be hanging on here, a lot less possession. So it's nice to actually be in control of games more now. So yeah, really enjoying it. I think he's done great company.
Yeah, no, I think he has as well. Like I say, he's almost, in my eyes, from what I can see from the outside, he's just transformed everything, and he's trying to build a football club into the way that he wants it to look. And when I hear him in interviews, he speaks ridiculously well, as well. So yeah, no, fair play to Vinny. And then the second part of the question was, with your spending budget, do you think they were a little bit harsh on Deitch? Obviously, didn't really have a lot to spend, or didn't really spend a lot in his time at Burnley. But do you think with the budgets and stuff, obviously, as you mentioned earlier, probably outspent everybody in the Championship this season. So do you feel Deitch was potentially harshly treated in that respect?
Yeah, I think you have to do it some seat. I mean, once January, I think we only brought in Peter Crouch, didn't we? So he didn't have much. We didn't have much to go with. In fact, I think we spent more on that robot that they did the announcement video than we spent on any player during that window. So yeah, no, he did have his hands tied behind his back a bit. He did well on limited resources, but looking back now, I think they were selling the club for longer than we thought. Because obviously it changed ownership, didn't it, in his last season with us to the current ones now. But so I think maybe they were reluctant to give him money to spend, but that weren't Deitch's fault. He did deserve backing for what he'd done at the club. He did deserve some more backing, but it was the way it were with the owners, I think. Yeah, but yeah, he was harshly treated.
Next question that we have here, Dom, again from Luke and the guys at Park Lane Podcast. What is your favourite goal that has been scored against you? It might be a difficult one to answer. Obviously, you probably wouldn't have liked it. But what is your favourite goal scored against you?
It's a tough one, isn't it? That. In terms of it annoyed me, this one at the time. You'll like this one, because the Son one.
Okay, yeah.
And he walked through us. I mean, somebody should have took him out, no doubt about it. I don't know why he was allowed to just run, but it was a great goal. There were one when I first my first few years watching us against Millwall. I think he was called Josh Wright.
Right.
Does that ring a bell? I think he was called that.
Yeah. I think Mark Wright's is from Towie, is his brother.
Yeah. It's his brother, I think, or something. Yeah. But he scored a good goal for Millwall. Like I said, I still remember it. He scored a really good one. If you look, I think it's on YouTube, that one. Josh Wright, Millwall. It'll come. I don't think he scored many, so it'll come up, that one. It was probably the best one I've seen at turf against us, I think.
Well, someone's glad, clearly, that you said
the
sunny one. And I was at that game as well, watching it. And, when the ball broke to him, he's got a few players around him, so we weren't really expecting much. And then all of a sudden, he just sort of goes, and like you said there, you're half expecting someone just to clean him out on the halfway line.
Should have done, yeah. They should have
done. Yeah, and he just keeps going and going and going. And then you're thinking, go on, keep going. And then, I think he won the Pushgas Award for that particular goal. So yeah, I mean, being in the ground there, witnessing it live was a special goal. Obviously not for you. Like I said, you're probably pulling your hair out. Like you say, probably someone should have chopped him a good couple of times before he even got that fast. Definitely. But next question that we have for you, Dom, is from Jay. Thank you for watching, Jay, as well. Will it feel weird facing the likes of me, Pope, and Tarky potentially next season? Obviously, sort of stalwarts of Burnley's team for a good few years.
Yeah, it will feel strange. I think Everton in particular will be a strange one. Obviously, with Deitch now manager as well, and they've already got Tarkowski and Keane. Keane's back in now playing. McNeil. It's literally like a former Burnley team, isn't it? That one's going to be the strangest, I think. But yeah, no, it will be weird seeing, especially Ben Mee. He was weird for a long time, but he's doing brilliant in now. Most of them who left us haven't had bad seasons. I know Everton's had a tough time, but Tarkowski isn't. He's probably been one of their better players. I don't watch Everton every week, but what I've seen, I think he's he's done well. It will be strange. Definitely Ben Mee. It'll be a weird one, but I think they'll all get good receptions. I can't think of any of them who's left who he'll get a bad one. Maybe Collins, but even him, I don't think he will, because he was only here for a year, weren't he? But yeah, it'll be a strange one. But they're all doing well, so they didn't leave in bad circumstances, any of them.
Yeah, no, I think like you say, they were all good players, and I think all good servants for Burnley. And like you said that and touched on there with Ben Mee, I think he's gone in and actually done really, really well for Brentford and has given them a lot of experience at the back. And when he has played, I think Brentford have probably looked better defensively with him, in the team. And it's like when he's not playing, I think Brentford actually miss him quite a lot. And I know that was probably a time as well where that happened, certainly at Burnley as well.
Yeah, when we first signed him, we played him at left back, Ben Mee, and then it was only a year or two later that we moved him to centre back, and yeah, he was brilliant for us. Obviously, ended up being captain. Yeah, top player for us was Ben Mee. It was a bit of a shame that he just didn't really get a send off. He ended up managing us, didn't he? At the end of the last few games. So yeah, he was on the coaching staff, but no, he was a good player for us, was Mee.
And Don, we've had one here. I don't particularly know because I haven't seen it. I don't know if you have, but do you think Ben Rama's penalty today was any good at all?
I haven't seen it, but he scored, I think, didn't he? So
yes,
that's the main thing for as long as it goes in the net. But no, I've not seen it, so I can't say. Usually with penalty, I've only ever took one penalty in my life, and I just smashed it straight down the middle. So and it went in.
Oh, okay. I was going to ask you, did you score?
Yes,
but yeah, just as well you did. As well you did, really. But right, guys, that is it for us. Just before we go, Dom, it's been brilliant to have you with us and sharing your experiences of life as a Burnley fan through your lens, so to speak. Tell everybody where they can find you.
So yeah, on my on Twitter, Dominic. I don't even know my own username here. I think Dominic_Potts I'm called on Twitter. Yeah, if you want to find me on there. Don't tweet too much. I usually just tweet after a game if I'm annoyed. So it'll be. And I've had a few drinks, so we'll see. Yeah, find me on there.
Perfect. And thank you to everybody that's watched. Make sure you like the video and subscribe to the channel. We will be doing some more of these. So if you are a fan of any football club up and down the country, please get in touch. We would love to hear from you and get your perspective on your football club. But for now, Dom, thank you very much. Take care, and we will see you all very, very soon.
That's all.